Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. How is everybody doing? It's nice to be back.
It is, isn't it?
Nice to be back. So first of all, can you hear me? And also, can you hear the lovely Louise?
Can you hear me?
Should be able to hear us both. I hope you can. Just let us know. Fingers crossed we got no crackling like last time. Someone said there was bad crackling on the line. I'll put that down to the pigs.
Oh, very good.
Very good, very good, very good, very droll. Good. How's everyone today?
Audio's good.
That
good.
reminds me, Louise, we must do a new podcast. That comes up on the screen. It says, check out our podcast, Jewelry Talks at the Bench. We must do another one.
Got a couple of ideas.
Have
in
you?
The old memory bank.
We've been a little bit busy over the last week, so apologies for last week. There was no Q&A. Really do apologise about that. And because things have been up in the air, my dad's in hospital, didn't know what's happening with him, still don't know what's happening. He's still in hospital, so we decided to cancel the workshop that was due today, because what we didn't want to do is go ahead, take money, then not be able to produce a workshop.
Well, we don't want to produce a workshop that we're unprepared for, because the preparation involved behind the scenes of the workshop is quite big, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah, we can't just chuck it together and hope for the best, because that would be doing you all a big disservice, which we're not prepared to do.
Exactly.
So we won't do it until we know we can do it well.
Yes,
basically.
Until we can guarantee it. Yeah. Yes. So fingers crossed, hopefully that will be, it won't be next Monday, because next Monday is a bank holiday. So we could well be looking about the week after that. But we will certainly let you know when things have been sort of sorted out and we know exactly what we're doing week to week. At the moment, as I said, things are up in the air. We just don't know, do we?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
So good. Thank you very much for all your patience. And we're on now for our Q&A. Thank you very much, Penny. Yes, he's unwell. He's unwell, but we're going down to see him tonight.
He's nearly 101, isn't he?
Oh, yes.
So he's
had a good innings.
He's had a good innings. Yes, so basically he's just being looked after and the symptoms are being managed now. So
I think his old age finally catching up with him.
Isn't
it, really?
It's
yes. Fine, no worries.
Yes.
Okay, so there we go. Lots and lots happening in all sorts of things. So many things planned. But there we go. Okay, anything else we want to say, Louise, before we get on with? Thank you for all the good wishes. That's very kind. Thank you all very much indeed. Really do appreciate that. Anything you want to say?
No.
Anything that's happened over the last week? Work-wise or?
Well, I haven't been in work much, have I? So
no.
I've kind of like been in and out, and
yes.
I don't really feel like I've done much work this week, to be honest. So I've not really got anything to report.
You have.
Really?
We have, as you know, Louise loves her jewel tool.
Yes, that's yes.
So Louise,
that is a bit of news.
Louise does love her jewel tool, and we noticed that Annie did a live on her saw cutting attachment. I was there.
Straight away, I'm having one.
In fact, we were in bed.
My name on one.
We were in bed one evening. Oh my God, Annie's gone live. So what's the best thing to do while she's in bed is watch Annie do her demonstration. Initially, she just gets to you, and she's
so
very
excited. I love the fact that she's so excited about it, and that she's
her enthusiasm is infectious.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we've ordered our saw, and hopefully that will come in time for your birthday. I don't have treat, you don't. That'll be.
I'm so excited.
That'll be here first or second week of September. So yes, we've got some slab saws. We've got some sort of like tile cutting and slab saws.
They terrify me.
They are noisy. They are big. But this is lovely, compact, neat. There's not a lot of water spreading. I noticed the ones that we've got do leak and the water goes everywhere.
The water's everywhere and it's dripping down onto the plug and it's just, yeah. So
we've
I don't have
attachment.
to. Yeah, I don't have to worry about that anymore. So I'm just waiting for my new dual tool saw attachment.
Yes. So we're looking forward to that. So when that arrives, that'll be something that you'll be able to watch on social media, and we'll see what's what. Good. Anything else that's happening on here now? Thank you also. Thank you again for all your kind wishes. That's really kind of you. Yes, I did a demo with a dad. Did she do the demo with the putty or the clay that holds stuff together? Is that what she did?
I missed that. Yeah, I did
miss that one.
Yeah, but I missed that one. So I'll have to catch up with that one.
Yes. Good. Okay, shall we start?
Yeah.
I don't know what else that we can report on. I'm just looking around. Is there anything new to report? I don't think so. Don't forget, we're still taking in sort of applications for our spotlight, our makers spotlight, atthebench.com/spotlight. Don't forget, if you want to be featured on our makers spotlight, please do get your pictures in. Make sure we've had problems. They do usually have to be PNG or JPEG. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes when you take things with your mobile phone, it's HEIFF format. Try and change it to JPEG and you should be able to send them with no problems at all.
Of course, you've forgotten the big news this week.
What's that?
The Sally Spencer workshop.
Sally Spencer workshop's gone live.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, the Sally Spencer workshop on At The Bench has gone live. If you're a paid member of At The Bench, it's free for you to watch. 2 hours, 50 minutes of fun, frolics and excitement, isn't it?
It was fab, wasn't it?
It was really, really good. So we love that. And if you're not a paid member of At The Bench, we have sent out a half price actually. The workshop was going to be £40, but then we inadvertently sent out the wrong email. We sent out the second email first instead of the first email. Anyway, we sent them the wrong way around. So you should have had, So you should have had another email today with whoops as the title. We forgot your 50% discount so that you can buy the workshop for £20 instead of £40, and that still gives you your £5 off your Sally Spencer book, free postage within the UK.
Ooh.
If you haven't had your email, they're going out today. So if you are a Freeview member of At The Bench, you'll have one. If you haven't seen that, just drop Louise a message and she will forward you the link to that, and we'll put that up on social media. We'll blast it out. Again, I'm not quite sure what's happening on social media. My mind hasn't been on it, so yeah, we'll just double check on that. It's a bit of gold, that though.
I know, it's just I recognised it was.
It's very good. It's a bit of gold. It's a bit of gold. That a bit of gold.
Just
bit of gold.
Okay.
Should we start?
No, because there's other news.
Oh my gosh, more news again.
We published our interview with Chris.
Oh yes, Chris Lewis, the interview. It was A-levels last week. It's GCSEs this week.
I'm out of touch now. I don't know. I don't think we've, apart from
O-levels,
we haven't got anybody collecting results. I don't think, have we?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So again, look on YouTube.
Absolutely inspirational interview, wasn't it?
Chris Lewis, about an hour, I think it was. Really, really good. He knows what he's doing. He's focused. He knows his path, where he wants to go, what he wants to do. Really good chap. A couple of times his microphone hit his chain. He wanted to have his chain out for some reason, and he was hitting the microphone. So apologies for some of the sound on that. But yeah, so go and watch that really inspirational interview with Chris Lewis. He favoured education, didn't he?
Well, he kind of said that there was
pros and cons.
Yeah, that was what I really loved about it, was that he presented a really balanced approach, didn't he?
Actually, yes.
Yeah, so education, because you're very much just get in and do, and I'm sort of on the fence with actually, let's do theory and practicals and...
Yes.
Yeah.
But he did it, and I must admit what he said, being in university is the only time that you're going to get paid for doing what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I miss that.
Because people think being self-employed, you do what you want all day long, don't you? But that's not the case, because you have to do repairs that you
Oh yeah.
that you
lots of
would
things.
rather be doing other things. There's parts of my job that I'd rather be doing other things.
We're governed by other people, aren't we?
Yeah, we have to do our sales and do our jobs.
Yes.
As per what our customers want and where the money is. Because if we just did what we liked, we wouldn't really be able to stay in business, would we?
No, exactly.
So yeah, so it's a really good opportunity, and it's a really good chance to be exposed to lots of different things you wouldn't have the chance to otherwise experiment with.
Yes.
So yeah, that was another big thing you said about. So yeah, watch it because it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It's so inspirational. He really is such a focused guy, isn't he?
Yes, and we did have a laugh. We did have a laugh. So, anything else now?
No, I think I will stop now.
No, you're right now. Ready now? Good. So it's been a blast this week. Okay, so Louise, it's Monday, the 21st of August. I was looking at I can't remember the date. 21st of August. Come on, Louise, let's have our first question.
Okay. Theoreth, what tools do I need to buy to solder post back on earrings?
Post backs on earrings. You just simply need a soldering setup. You would need overhead. Here we go. You would need a soldering board or a soldering block. You would need something like a little third hand, like this here, and then you simply need a torch. We use borax as our flux, but you can use any other type of flux. And with that, you should be able to solder posts upon earrings. The earring back would lie on, let me see if I can very, very quickly get something out of my drawers. Ooh. Let's have a look. Here we go. So for argument, I'm not going to do it because that's a washer, and I'm not really going to do a solder or washer, am I? There's a washer. Let's come a bit closer by here. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Very, very quickly show you what to do. So I'm going to solder my little ring of silver. Okay, here is my earring back. You can just about see it. I'm going to rest that on top, just gently on top of my post my earring I want to solder. You then would come along, you flux the area and you solder it. The third hand holds onto your post, nice and safe. You can then move this around so you can get this nice and straight in this angle, nice and straight from this angle, and you should be able to solder it with no problem at all. So that is what I would do. Soldering block, torch, third hand, flux, and some solder. There we go. Let's have another one then, Lou.
Julia says, enjoyed your workshop with Sally Spencer. Lucky I watched it as I bumped into her at the weekend at our local gem show. Love her enthusiasm. Yeah,
Harrogate.
Lots of fun, isn't she? She
yes.
said she met quite a few at the bench members as
Did
well.
she?
Yeah, so yeah, she was really thrilled with that. Yeah, so were we. Yeah, glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. So again, if you're at the bench member, go up onto the dashboard. You can go up to workshops on the top, drop down. Sally Spencer working with gemstones. Very good.
Excellent.
Very good workshop. Yes.
Okay, Phil has a question. Hiya, Phil. Any ideas about organising stock silver sheet? Different sizes and different thicknesses. How do you do yours? In a drawer or box?
I can say I'm not the most organised.
I was going to answer that for you, but I thought
I'm not the most, but I do have like a little a tray Tupperware sort of box over there, and I've got the silver in closed down, what they call closing polythene bags, and on the outside then I say what thickness the metal is. A lot of people will use document dividers, the sorts that open up and they have all the slots in, and people will put them in there, which is a very good idea. You can buy little A5 document holders, buy them on Amazon with about perhaps like 12 different compartments going through it, and you can write on the outside then to say exactly what thickness metal it is. So all you got to do is I want some 1 mil thick or 21 gauge, whatever it is. There we go. There's the piece. Oh, let's have a look at all the pieces. And in those slots, in those compartments, you've got all different size pieces, all the same thickness, and you can check through there. And I think that is one of the best ways to do it. The drawers, I wouldn't put them in drawers. I say I've got them in a Tupperware box, but in bags. Not the neatest, but these little A5 document folders are the best. At Amazon, you can buy them cheap as chips. Get the plastic one, label it on the departments, and you should be able to organize your silver sheet very, very easily. Nice one. Louise. Let's have another one.
Yes. Red Truck Pictures is saying, hi, I wanted to share my appreciation of your channel.
Thank you.
I'm almost done making my own engagement ring from repurposed family gold. Going to set the diamond this week and polish it up. Oh, please send me a picture. I'd love to see.
Yeah, send us the pictures. Absolutely love.
I love stuff like that. Fabulous.
Love to see that. Yes.
Claire says, you get to play and experiment at uni or college. I missed that. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Definitely.
Okay. Helena says, the adapted pliers are a godsend for earring posts.
Adapted pliers?
Adapted pliers.
Don't know. Oh, you can also use, actually, you can also use titanium clamps as well, whilst we just very, very quickly go into this. So again, titanium clamps, we've got titanium that I've just bent round into that sort of shape. These clamps come in, we sell them in the store at thebench.store. We sell them in bags of 5. The clamps come like this, 4-inch, 100mm by 5mm by, I think about 1mm thick. You can bend them up into the shapes as we've got there, and you can bend these into a variety of shapes. There's another different shape there. What else have we got in my little tray here? That's about it for the, oh, there's another one there. So you can bend these into all different shapes like that, and then you can get your earring post. You can put that between the clamps, and again, exactly the same way as you have the third hand, you can always put them like that. And that would be ideal to hold as well. And the good thing with the titanium clamps is that they don't absorb the heat like these big third hands do. So again, a lovely little tip. Sorry, Louise, I jumped in then and said a bit more.
That's okay.
Crack on.
Julia has a question.
Yes.
If sending a spinner ring off to be hallmarked, would you put the spinners on or leave them off? Would they all then have to be hallmarked? Are they the same metal, Julia, or the same carat?
No, they're the same metal.
Because if they're all silver, or silver and copper, presumably they would just hallmark the main ring, wouldn't they? And
yes, because if the rings are attached to it in one respect, they cannot be pulled off. That's an integral part of the piece.
And presumably the spinner, even if it was silver, the spinner is unlikely to weigh more than 7.9 grams unless you've got a pretty chunky spinner ring.
Yeah, exactly.
So if it's silver
and it weighs less than 7.78, yes, I wouldn't.
Or if it's gold and it's less than a gram. If it's gold and it's less than a gram, just send it off as silver. What will they do then?
I don't know. They may mark it mixed metals, but if it's under 7.78, do you need to send it off to be assayed?
Well, some people do anyway. They like to.
But they like to have their mark on it. I think I would construct the piece. Again, depends now upon you. If you are having your punches punched, so to speak, there is a chance that would disfigure the inner, and it may make it slightly out of round, which means then you've got to be able then to tap that round or to reshape it upon a mandrel. By doing that, would you damage the spinners that be going round? I don't know. If you are having it lasered, put it all together.
It's 11 grams, but if it's all silver, you can put it all together anyway, can't you?
I think if it's lasered, put it together, because you don't have to worry then. I think if it's punched, so they're physically punching the piece, I think I would send them separately. You have to send a little bit of solder that you're going to use to put those bands on with, or put it, or don't do the whole construction, but just send the components off. And then when you have them back, you may find they may be slightly out of round. You've got a chance to make them round, then you can assemble it and then flare the ends.
Because we're registered with Birmingham, aren't we?
Yes.
And they're very good at, like, they phone me sometimes and say, you haven't put enough instructions. Or, I mean, I don't recommend not putting enough instructions because that wastes their time a little bit. But in my experience, they're very good at, can you just clarify this? So we can't do this, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what I think I would do. Lasered, can finish the construction. If it's punched, send them individually and then put them together when you come back. But don't forget, if they're not soldered, you've got to send a bit of solder up with it as well. That's what I've had to do in the past.
Wow.
Even the jump rings that go on the top of pendants, if you don't supply them and there's a hole there, they say you've got to send what's going to go through that hole.
Yeah, they're so thorough, aren't they? It's good to know.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
it's a lot to remember for us, isn't it?
Yes. Come on,
okay, hopefully that helps. The Odin says, I laser engrave cells in fine silver and then manually engrave them using a graver. I use denatured. No, I know how to say it. I'm just wondering if I think I might have skipped. No, I haven't. It's okay. I use denatured. I use denatured alcohol. Thank you, Andrew. To clean the piece, but it dulls and yellows the entire piece. What's going on here?
To clean the piece, but it dulls. Does it really? I don't know. Laser engrave fine silver, then manually engrave them. Are you to clean? Perhaps don't use the alcohol to clean the piece. That's
it
what. It
dulls and yellows the entire piece.
Wow, I wouldn't.
Have you ever used denatured alcohol on metal?
Methylated spirits.
Silver.
Methylated spirits.
Yeah.
I've never had that happen. If it dulls the entire piece, can you repolish it afterwards? Or don't use denatured alcohol, just use some soap or pop it in an ultrasonic for a few seconds, some ultrasonic solution.
What's the benefit of using the
denatured? I don't know. Don't know what the benefit of it would be. Don't know. Unless you use that to clean up the laser burn, perhaps, upon the piece. I don't know.
But would the ultrasonic do that successfully as well?
I don't know. I've never had anything lasered, to be honest.
Or polish it off?
What is the nature agent? Is it ethanol or methanol? Ethanol. I'm just reading the chat that's going on here.
Okay. What do you think about laser solders for doing posts versus the way you explained? That's
laser.
I'm sorry, I'm probably saying your name wrong. I do apologise. The RF.
The RF. So I personally would solder. I can be guaranteed of a great join as opposed to laser. The problem that you've got, the advantage that you've got, is that you have, say, that's the cross section through a plate that we're going to be soldering our post onto. What I would do is perhaps get a small little ball burr and make a little dip in the paste, just like that, where my post is going to go. I would get a small bit of solder and put my bit of solder and melt my bit of solder in the dip. Okay, so you've got a nice lot of solder. Then I would introduce my post directly on top of that. It's a bent post, as you can see. All right, so and then you heat it then with your flame. Okay, so there's your flame here. And what's going to happen is that the post is going to drop down into the hole, and then you've got a nice bit of solder coming up onto the outside of your post. So the post has gone into the piece. It's got enough solder all the way around to make it like a good meniscus. I love this word, meniscus around it. It's got a good solid foundation. If you lasered it, you basically have a butt joint like that. The contact between the post and the earring is literally that little area there. If you weld, if you've got some extra filler wire, you may be able to put some filler wire upon the outside, but you still only got this very, very small point of contact. Whereas if you did that little, let me draw that nice and big now. So if you've got that hole, little dip that is in the piece that you filled with solder, the post comes in, you've got all this area that is going to be in contact with solder and with your metal. So the post is going to be a lot stronger when it comes to that than if you simply had a little butt joint like that with a little bit. Does that make sense? Yep. Good,
yes, good. I don't know why I'm saying
Does that make sense? You doing something, Louise? Very good. Well done, Louise. I'm glad you're paying attention, Louise. Well done. Yes. Good, good, good. So that's my argument for lasered or arc welded against soldering.
Okay.
Well done.
Going back to the laser engraving question.
Yes.
It only happened to laser engraved pieces, but I thoroughly clean them and also give a cleaning pass.
Okay, I don't have much experience with that.
99% alcohol.
Yeah, perhaps I wouldn't use the alcohol. Perhaps I'd
Ethanol.
use something else in that, yeah.
Yeah, ethanol.
Yeah.
Maybe try methanol. I don't know, what's the difference between ethanol and methanol?
The M.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Can you solder 14 karat gold and 2224 together?
Yes, you can. You can.
How?
With solder.
What solder? Just
The lowest,
the lowest carat.
depending upon the parent metal. So
okay.
I wouldn't use a 22 karat solder if that's what you mean. I would use a 14 karat solder. Don't go anything lower than a 14 karat. Don't waste your money on a 22. Use the 14 karat.
So the parent
Definitely.
metal, as in the bulkiest thing.
I say the lowest carat.
Okay.
Use that solder.
Right.
Yes.
Good.
Definitely. Flying through these.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind what you're going to be, if you're going to get it hallmarked though, will the solder
If it's 14
bring
carat.
down the finesse?
No.
No.
As it's 14.
But it will be if it's going to be hallmarked 14 carat.
Yes.
Yes.
It won't be hallmarked 22 in this country
it's just
because there's 14.
Okay.
So you go down to the lowest.
Oh, of course, yeah.
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 Plus, 14 karat has several grades, several melting points as well, whereas 22 karat solder only has one melting point.
Okay.
So you've got more chance of your construction going together with various grades than just the one solder.
Good. So yes, you can, and 14 karat gold solder.
Yes,
Cool.
you can.
Okay.
Or Helena, yes, or even the special tweezers that we've got with the grooves in the tips. I think we're out of stock of them. I have to make up some more. Yes, but yes, good.
Okay. Okay. How far?
That's a heck of a nice heavy spinner ring, 11 grams, isn't it?
I bet that looks cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Norm says, is it worth it to purchase a concussion ring stretcher?
Concussion ring stretcher. I'm not quite sure what a concussion ring stretcher
Upright ring stretcher?
Is that what concussion is?
I don't know.
Oh,
But perhaps that's...
please let us know what a concussion ring stretcher is.
Well, it's probably just a typo, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's have a look, shall we? Or let us know.
Yeah.
So, if it's a ring stretcher in general, is it worth to purchase it? Oh, this is the thing. Ring stretchers are only good for, what are we looking at? Not too sure.
Combination?
Oh, combination?
Combination ring stretcher?
Could be a combination ring stretcher.
Should we assume that and answer the question as?
Yes.
Yeah. Just tell me if we're wrong, please, Norm.
Yes. And that's the upright, isn't it, that we just had. So I would say, yeah, combination one, yes. Yeah. So the combination, I love both parts of this type of ring stretcher. We've got the individual ones. We've got the bit that goes on the side separate to the main one. I love mine. It's great for stretching wedding bands. It's great for reducing wedding bands as long as they're...
Nothing.
As long as they are... Go on.
A tapered pin that goes into a collar that holds the ring.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
so
good.
it's
Yeah,
like an upright wedding
we
ring.
gotcha.
Yeah. So they will only stretch and they will only reduce plain bands. You cannot stretch or reduce diamond set, stone set, heavily textured filigree rings. The stretcher does not work with that. You can stretch rings that are lightly engraved. You can also reduce lightly engraved rings as well if it has the little reducing plate on the bottom. So I love the facility and the ability to do that with the rings. That little section on the outside edge that has the concentric bar that comes out, I love mine as well because it enables you to bend the ring shanks or bend stock metal if you're putting pieces into rings as well. So I would buy, if I was buying them all over again and I'm limited with space, I would definitely buy the combination. But as I have the individual pieces, I don't necessarily need to buy one. But yes, space is limited. I would buy the little combination one because it is a little brilliant machine. That's a long answer, isn't it? It's a very simple question, but good. They are good. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do. If I was to buy, what would you buy, Andrew? So I would buy, if you are in the business of stretching and reducing wedding rings, yes, buy it. If you're not, don't buy it. Buy yourself the horizontal ring stretcher because that is just as good. The combination stretcher that you've got there, I don't think Delrin dies are supplied with it, so it's going to mark. What I would suggest you buy if you're not doing wedding bands is I would buy, oh, it's a bit close, Andrew. Let's get that out there. Here we go. I would buy this little guy here that would fit in a vise, or you can fasten it to your bench, and because this has Delrin dies as well as the steel dies, you can use this to bend the shanks as well. Does that make sense? Good.
I didn't say anything.
Good. Excellent. Yes, Louise, let's have another question.
Right, okay. Dancers with aardvarks. To form a copper cone, will I need to wrap it around a mandrel with the right dimensions?
The problem with the cow, you're going to have a tapered cone mandrel. The only good way to make a cone, I'm running out of disk space in it. Okay, so the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to produce that, aren't you? A cone shape like that out of a sheet, and then you're going to have to bend that up. If you're trying to produce a cone that is sort of this shape, you're going to have a mandrel that is basically that shape. But if you are making it out of a piece of metal with an arc like that, it's very difficult to get it exactly right, but that is going to be the best way of doing it. I think, and what you may be better off is buying what they call a sparrowhawk, which is something like this, which is a sparrowhawk, as you can see. And with that, we've got this little conical end here. Now that is going to be brilliant because you could put the cone over that and hammer it or shape it or form it so it is looking just right. So that's called a sparrowhawk. And you can buy them at the bigger sort of tool suppliers, and that's on a little base like that. And that would be great for doing your cones then. Yes. Yes, Louise, let's have another question.
Okay, is there any other way to remove shellac without burning it or using alcohol?
No.
No.
Sometimes you can put it in the ultrasonic. You can get it in ultrasonic nice and hot. That should soften it a little bit. Put it in the ultrasonic and the waves will actually make it crumble and come away from the piece. But there's not many other ways that you're going to get the shellac off. No.
Good. Okay. Ethanol. Oh, thank you. Okay.
Some interesting knowledge
Yeah.
pieces coming. Yeah. Ethanol, methanol.
Methanol. One's poisonous, one's not so poisonous.
Treat them as all poisonous then.
Yeah. Okay. Sandra says, can Andrew please talk a bit about heat sinking? When are the times you might want to create a heat sink to help in your work, and how would you do it?
So there aren't many times when I would use a heat sink. Usually these third hands are the best things to use because you can clamp them around items to stop the heat from traveling. So for argument's sake, they can be a hindrance as well. So yeah, so here are my tweezers. Look this way. Here's my earring post. Yeah. If you have your heatsink too close down to where you're soldering, the area that you're soldering is not going to heat up, because the metal here is going to be taking all the heat away. When would I use a heatsink? When would I use a heatsink? When I don't want a... I wouldn't often use it. You got me thinking now. I wouldn't often use a heatsink. I would rather rely upon the placement of the torch as opposed to blast a whole area and then have a heatsink to take the heat away. I would rather, you know, I'm just trying to back that out in my head. So say, for argument's sake, I have a sheet of metal, okay, and I've got something over here, some Kembu perhaps, yeah, that may be over this side here, and I want to solder a post by here, okay, along like that there. And I want to, that's backwards I know, but never mind, but I want to protect my little bit of gold foil that I've used my Kembu over here. So I would not necessarily come along and put anything across here that is going to take the heat away when I put my torch onto the area here, okay, because that would be silly, because you're heating up the whole piece here. What I would do is use the torch as the direction in the place that I want it to go. So I would bring the torch in from this angle here, knowing that I can heat all this area around here to the right heat. Then perhaps I would put something by here, like a third hand or something, or 2/3 hands, to stop any excess heat getting to this. So I wouldn't often use a heatsink. I would use the placement of my torch first to localize the heat in one particular area. If I need to protect this area, then I would use a heatsink, or if we've got a ring with a pearl in it, this is the ring upside down, and here's the pearl here. Okay, there's the shank, here's my pearl. I then would use cool heat all over it like that if I'm trying to solder up here. But again, you wouldn't put the whole flame on the whole piece. You would direct the flame at the area that you're soldering here, and the thermogel or your cool heat then would stop any excess heat coming down, say onto the pearl or onto the stone that you're soldering up here, because the heat would damage the stone. Does that make sense? I think that makes, yeah. So I wouldn't often use a heat sink. I would think, and I would solder intelligently with the flame. But if it cannot be helped, then I would put something over the area or near the area. But I would always put the torch on the area that you're trying to solder, not the whole piece. If you solder get flame on the whole piece, there's a chance you're going to get a lot of fire scale. But by localizing the heat into a certain small area, you're going to stop fire scale as well. And that's another thing that you've got to think about. Should we have another question?
Okay. Salty Musement, where did Andrew buy those pliers on his right to the left of our screen?
Here. All my pliers. The pliers stand or just the pliers? Because I got lots of pliers. Plier stand, do you think?
Just says pliers.
Pliers. The pliers, we sell all the pliers. We've got our own pliers, our own branded pliers. These are pliers that I have just accumulated over the years. Some of them are good. Some of the cutters need a little bit of sharpening. We've got some parallels. So I do like a nice parallel plier. I've also got this type as well here, and I do quite like these. Yeah, I think they're called bow closing pliers, nylon, and you can really get in and bend heavy ring shanks with them as well. So if it's the stand, I'm not quite sure. I've had that little white stand for a long time. I quite like the plastic stand. It has it's just there, isn't it? Yeah, but if you want any of the tools, we do sell them on our store, atthebench.store. Yes, Louise. Okay. Yes.
Norm says, do you find that Argentium is as easily workable as sterling?
Never used Argentium, but people who have used it It's a bit like Marmite. They either love it or they hate it. I know it's a lot more difficult to work with. It's a lot more difficult to solder because it is not made the same way as sterling. And I know that when you heat it, there's a tendency for it to sag. There's lots of things to think about. I've never used it. I've got no real intention of using it actually, but there are plenty of people out there. So just do a bit of search, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
That's pretty much heat sink. Use it around a jewel with a heat shield. Yeah, well, that's what you've explained, isn't it?
Yes.
Remember, heat sinks get hot too.
Yes.
Helena saying thermogel as a heat sink.
Yeah, it's sort of it acts in the same way. A heat sink draws the heat away that stops. So if you had, again, if you had a sheet of metal and you're soldering by here, so this is going to heat up. A heat sink, if you put a pair of pliers over there, it would stop the heat getting to this area because the heat would be drawn into those pliers and not an awful lot of heat then would reach this area. So thermogel works on the same sort of principle, but it doesn't absorb the heat, it stops the heat from getting.
So it's a shield.
So it's more of a, it's more of a shield, but the end result is the same. You want to protect this area, thermogel, put thermogel over there, it'll protect that area. If you want to protect that area with the heat sink, you put the heat sink across here. The heat sink will absorb the heat and stop a lot of the heat then traveling to that area. So the end result's the same, just a different process.
Okay.
So yeah, so thermogel cool heat does not absorb the heat, it just stops the heat from getting to the area that you've been protecting, which is what a heat sink does. It protects the area that you don't want to be heated up.
Right, okay, without absorbing it. So it's
without absorbing it.
Yeah. So it's probably easier, isn't it, without having to think where's it going to go, and you're just literally protecting what you need to protect without having to think, where do I put this?
Yes.
Just
yeah, exactly. Plus,
perhaps easier to use.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yes, yeah. It's
okay,
obviously it's more costly. You've got to buy a tub of cool heat or buy a tub of thermogel as opposed to perhaps using a third-hand tweezer, something like that.
But then it saves you having to muck about and
exactly.
Okay,
definitely.
good.
Yeah. Yes.
Sandra says it's very helpful. I always wonder when to heat the whole piece when soldering and when to focus only on the soldering area.
Yeah, because usually if you're soldering, it's always nice to warm up the piece, because what you don't want to do is apply the heat in one area and then you have to wait for the heat then to travel, because again the heat will travel. So if you're heating one area, and say you've got a bangle, say you've got a large bangle and you're heating up this little area here with your flame, okay, here, it's going to take so long to heat up because the heat from here, you have to get this to the right temperature, to solder, for this solder to run. But the whole bangle is acting as a heat sink, so it's drawing the heat down and down and down and down and down. Okay, so it's drawing the heat away. So when this bangle has got hot enough, it stops drawing the heat away, then this little area here will become hot enough for the solder to flow. So in this case, if you want to just solder this little area here, if you can provide a heat sink across here, okay, to stop the heat from flowing down, this little area is going to heat up a lot quicker, right? But if you don't have a heat sink, the idea would be to gently heat up all the bangle first of all, okay, and perhaps even start down here, move your torch back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, get this nice and warm, nice and hot, nice and hot. So when you come to the solder here, this area here doesn't need to keep dragging the heat away because you've heated it up. You bring the flame up, concentrate on this area, and the solder will flow because the bangle now is not acting as a heat sink because you've heated it and the heat's going back up to the solder joint. Yes, my dear.
Okay. Salty Meme Smith, the pliers, please.
The pliers. We sell them in the store. Yeah. Yeah.
Depends which ones you mean, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, we sell the flat nose, snipe nose, round nose, half rounds, flat nose. We sell the cutters, the snips. We sell the parallel pliers, the top cutters, side cutters. We sell them all in our store at atthebench.store. Yes.
Okay, Helen is saying, how do you sharpen the end cutters, please?
The ends. I just saw that, so I'm prepared for this one. So the end cutters look something like that there. That comes like that there, and that comes like that there. So that's one side. The other side comes up. That does that. So the cutters are like that, aren't they? They often get then damaged across here. So what I would be inclined to do is get a diamond wheel, if you can. And because when these cutters open up, you can sometimes get a wheel in here, okay? So there's your wheel, like that there, okay? And you can get underneath here and you can run the wheel. Let me see if I can try and pretend. Yeah, I got one, even one of our little grinding discs here, our emery wheels. There we go, this'll do. So here are the pliers, okay? And here is an emery wheel. We sell these again in our store. It's an emery disc, it's both sides. So what I'd be inclined to do is come along. This would be running, and that would go underneath the jaw. Okay, so you go underneath the jaw, and then you take it out, and you come on this side, and you go underneath the jaw. All right, so you're following the angle here, so you can polish the underneath here a little bit, remove any dents. Okay, then what you can do is do exactly the same then on the outside and have your wheel running this way, and that's in your flex shaft that way. And now you can run your disc on the outside this way, and you can just run that up and down. Yep, does that make sense? Up and down, completely out of focus then. There we go. In fact, let me have a quick go, see if I can very, very quickly do it with this. So very quickly, I would get my disc, here we go, this way, and I would run it just underneath, yep, that way, and I would do then both sides just like that, running up and down, there we go. If you can't get to it that way, you can always come from over the top, this way, to get underneath, okay, like that.
And of course you should have your eye protection.
I do have my eye protection on,
yeah,
but you should have eye protection on. Yeah.
I'm not saying you didn't, I'm just saying wear eye protection.
Wear eye protection. And then on the outside, you can come along, and again you can just sharpen the edge of that, up and down, that outer edge, and likewise on here. Yep, so you got the edge here. I've got my disc, being very careful to wear eye protection as well, up and down, and that will sharpen there. I should be able to do it this way as well. Here we go. Can we do it this way? Yes, you can come along at an angle this way, that way, underneath as well. And then as long as you follow the edges, these edges here, keep going until then these become nice and sharp. Look at them, look at the ends. Make sure then that when you look through the jaws, you don't see any daylight. If you see a little bit of daylight, well then you know you've got to take a little bit off one side and keep on going until you get those jaws nice and even and nice and sharp. You don't need to heat them, you don't need to temper them, you don't need to do anything like that. These little emery wheels are brilliant for that, or if you haven't got emery wheels, you can sometimes come along and use sanding drums, although these emery wheels, again, we sell them in the store, are absolutely fantastic for doing that. Yes, Louise.
Good. Salty is saying, other than Durston, who makes the best jewellery benches? I can answer that.
Go on then.
At the Bench members. Remember when we did Show Us Your Bench and everybody sent us pictures of their benches that they made? And we saw some absolutely amazing benches, didn't we?
Yes, Franken benches, sometimes they call them.
Yeah, some of them were just literally an IKEA table, just, I don't know, pimped up.
Yes.
Yeah, they were amazing, weren't they? But anyway, apart from that, if you wanted to buy one ready-made.
They, MPM, MFM, they're Italian. They make really good benches. But do you know what? As good as you say that, my bench downstairs that I work at every single day is a bench that I made when I started first 35, 36 years ago. It is made from a 4-foot by 2-foot piece of plywood, 2 sheets, glued and screwed together, screwed from underneath. And that's what I've got. And that's what I've used for the past 35, 36 years. At the time I couldn't afford a bench, and that is literally what I did. I have one of the angles on the front. So yeah, so the bench is not necessarily going to be thick enough. We've got 2 pieces of plywood, but what I've got is the little angle from GRS, okay, and then I've got my little holes by here, and now I can put on my little dovetail plate on the front of that, which enables me to put my GRS onto it, and also the bench pin as we've got here with the dovetail plate. And that's what I got. So you don't have to have a brand new bench. You don't have to have a jeweler's bench. Bit of plywood, bit of ingenuity. And you can go into IKEA. You can go into the what's it called? They've named it something now, haven't they? The scrap area, broken bits, and you can pick up kitchen worktops that are marked.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done. I've made benches in the past with an IKEA kitchen worktop beach, and there's mark at one end. Doesn't matter if there's a mark on it, because you're going to damage it.
You're going to bash it and burn it and God knows what else on you. But the one thing I will say is make sure that it's the right height.
So it's about 1 metre tall.
It depends how long your legs are, really, doesn't it? Or actually, no, because you're going to be
Your
sat
torso.
down. Depends how long the rest of you is.
How long your torso is, yes.
Yeah, so it might just need a little bit of tinkering with to make sure it's a comfortable height for you. But yeah, you can just make it whatever you need then to your own requirements and build on it, I guess, can't you?
Yeah, I do like the Durston benches. A lot of people will like the little the arms that are included to rest their arms on whilst they're working. I've never used them, but I know people do love them. Durston benches, we've got a nice tray underneath here. It's got like a soldering board, but I don't use that. I use it for my soldering paraphernalia because I've taken out the soldering board because I like to solder on the top. Plus, if you have the board in front of you here, on the overhead, here we go. You've got to keep taking...
one that you're, I don't know.
What?
I'm just thinking if you've got one that you're relieving yourself of.
I beg your pardon. Yeah, okay, so yeah, we are, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing that one
perhaps
yet.
I shouldn't have mentioned that, sorry.
But yes.
You're not having that, you can't, sure, no, we don't need another bench.
I've never had a brand new bench downstairs. I may use that downstairs. I don't know yet.
If you're getting rid of that thing, then yes.
We don't know. We don't know yet. So if you have any surplus tools you want to get rid of, you can always let us know. We will always buy tools because we've always got people wanting. So we don't have any benches though. I'm picking up a few pieces of tools this week that I may be selling. Not quite sure. I do find it very hard to sell.
You just collect them.
I find it very hard to sell.
It's not healthy, Andrew.
Excess tools. As you know, I love the tools.
It's not healthy.
I don't like to get rid of anything, but yeah, if I have to, yeah. So keep an eye. Just message us if you need any tools.
Not using that, I'm going to raffle it. How's that?
So another question.
Okay. How far did we get? Norm, you found the nylon brushes. Good. Thank you, Beth. Lexi, I have a turquoise pendant that I'm wanting to make into a ring. Would the turquoise always need to be taken out?
Yes. Ideally, turquoise is really susceptible to any sort of heat. So yes, got to take out that turquoise before you do anything. A heat sink isn't going to work. Cool heat, maybe, but you must put no heat anywhere near it. If you had upside down cabochon. Down here, you've got your ring shank on top. Yep. There's your ring shank that's on top like that. If you've got a solder on the top of here, you may be able to put a load of cool heat or thermogel over the bottom like that if you're going to solder that. But if you think you can solder a shank onto a bezel with the turquoise in place, not a chance that you're going to damage it. So if in doubt, whip it out. That's why.
Good advice.
You like that?
Okay.
You can relate that to a lot of things in life. So if in doubt, whip it out.
Yeah, okay. That's going to be just the quote now, isn't it? Brilliant. Seeing a meme coming on. Cordo says, will the titanium clips act as a heat sink? Good question.
Titanium does not absorb heat. No. So the heat will pass straight through it, pass underneath it. Yeah.
Which could be an advantage in some circumstances, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But you do need to know what it does.
Yes.
Yeah, good question.
Because titanium, it does not absorb the heat. So if you heat an earring post, the earring post will get hotter than if you held it with some steel tweezers, because the titanium does not take the heat away, does not draw the heat away as a steel tweezer would. Yes, good question.
Good, good. Anthony made his bench from scrap timber.
Excellent.
Cool. Okay. And my bench is a kid's age 3 desk. I'm very short. Oh, bless. Victoria's loving her Durston bench.
Yes.
Cool.
And do you know what?
Oh, Anthony says, use your spare bench as a prize with free postage. Lots of goods. I see here.
I've got to pick it up. I've got yet to go and collect it, so we'll have to see what it is. But when it comes to bed, this is why I don't like expensive benches. I love expensive benches, okay? This bench here is a Durston one. What's this? This is close to, I don't know, 800, 900,000 pounds. But do you know what?
900,000 pounds?
900 or
£1,000
pounds.
See.
Not 900,000 pounds. Come on. But you can just about see I've burnt it here, I've burnt it there. I have burnt it every flipping where. So don't be afraid that you're going to mark it, you're going to get it dirty. So even me, you know, you look away, you do something, I'm looking at the camera like that, make sure that camera, oh damn, the flame's moved, the flame is burnt. So don't worry about marking it. We do have a bench in the front room, don't we, the new studio, that is going to stay pristine because we need that for photography and filming purposes, but that's going to be the occasional bench.
Hopefully it'll stay
Hopefully pristine, Louise, yes. And you get started on it. But yeah, but don't worry about your bench getting dirty, spilling stuff onto it, acid onto it, polish onto it. It's going to get dirty, and I think the sooner you accidentally burn or damage it, you're going to relax.
I think I christened that, didn't I, with the Arkansas drill.
No, I did. I christened it like literally.
You've been doing that ages. I was like, oh, yeah, stuck in the bench.
Literally within a few days of me having it, I actually burnt it. Yeah, but there we go. But don't be afraid. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It? Yeah,
yes.
That's what they're for. Good.
Jill says you can keep your overspill of tools at my house.
That's kind. Pajinto says no such thing as access tools. Don't encourage him. Susan made some great bench pins with microscope parts. Cool.
Good. Nice one.
Good. Lexi is looking for bench at HF, but I didn't see it. Oh. Good. Good.
Yeah, you can pick up. You can do so much. As I said, I got a piece of beech worktop from IKEA or from anywhere. It's a decent thickness. I think it was about 1 inch or so thick, and then I just simply got some pieces of 4x2 planed wood, made a simple frame, just screwed the legs on, got a bit of a piece of screwed on the outside to give it a little bit of strength. On the back you'd have a diagonal brace, on the sides you'd have diagonal on there. It's got to be nice and sturdy, and literally you can make a bench for, I don't know, Mr. Worktop these days, section of workshop, 30, 40 quid.
You could get offcuts.
You could get offcuts. You can make a bench for 60, 70 quid easy these days.
Have a look in a skip.
Oh, what's that called?
Skip diving.
Is
it?
Skip diving?
No, but people do, because when I have my allotment, I can't walk past the skip without... And half the time, if people have put things in a skip, it's obviously because they're throwing them away, and if you can make more room in that skip by taking things out, obviously ask them first.
Yes.
But half the time they're just grateful. obviously ask. But
if you know a neighbour that may be having a new kitchen fitted,
something, just maybe gift it, and they'll be happy for you to take it. Yeah,
exactly. Why not?
Yeah.
So yes.
Norm says I have an old abused secretary desk that works well. I hope you mean the desk was abused, not the secretary.
Secretary was abused. Nice one.
Francesco, can the diamond sintered burrs work on silver instead of ball setting burrs?
Yes, but I would not use the diamond sintered burrs if you're doing any stone setting. Stick to the teeth ball burrs, setting burrs, 90-degree burrs, straight setting burrs. I find that they are so much better, so much cheaper than anything that's diamond sintered. Yes.
Good. Okay. Phil saying, have you been able to find out any info on annealing silver, 9 carat and 18 carat white and yellow, please?
No, we haven't. Make a note. We must remember to look at that. The only thing that I would definitely suggest that you do, if you are annealing white gold, do not quench it. Let the piece cool down naturally on its own, because the white alloys do not like the sudden thermoshock they're being put into the acid. The majority of other pieces you can quench, not at a bright red heat, but what I would suggest is that the metal goes down to a black heat. So you heat it up so you get that little bit of a tinge to it, and then you just let it cool for a few seconds so there's no color on it, it turns black, then you can quench it in your acid. If it's white, leave it out, put it on the side to one side, let it cool down naturally. Red gold, what you'll find is the copper will definitely come to the surface, and even though you may quench it in acid, you may find there's a little bit of covering of copper that you would have to physically abrade it to get that off. But the majority of cases you can quench most metals, but not white gold. Platinum, you don't have to quench it. Palladium, you don't have to quench either. You can let that cool down naturally. And usually when there's literally no color to it whatsoever, you can put it then into your warm acid if it's white and there's no heat in it at all. You can touch it, make sure there's no heat. Then you can put it into your acid to get any oxides off it. Yes.
Good. Okay. I think that might be it.
Excellent. Bang on time. 5 o'clock.
We have to get into town, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Harbour Freight tend to have good benches.
I've not heard of Harbour Freight.
American.
Harbour Freight.
Yeah,
okay.
American benches. It's like it's like a machine mart over here. The machine mart over here. Okay.
They're not circles on my moving.
Machine mart's very similar to Harbour Freight over here. Yeah. Yes. But Ingenuity, there's loads of ideas, loads of plans on the internet for making up a bench. It's very easy and very straightforward to have a basic, simple bench for about 60, 70 quid. Easy.
Yeah.
Good.
Fab. Okay.
That's about it. I do believe.
I think so.
Excellent. We're going to go. We have to go and visit my dad. Everyone, take care. I've got to take him his Greg's sausage roll tonight.
Yes.
And we've got to pick him
his latte.
Pick him up a latte on their way in as well.
He's not eating the hospital food, is he? So we have had permission. All he's really eating is...
Louise has been taking in cheeseburgers and chips.
But the nurse, not the midwife, what's she called? The
sister
has said that because he's not eating anything else, so he is eating his chips.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
somebody was sneaking cider on the way.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone snuck in cider. I think
Happy Meal's the least of their trouble, really, isn't it? Come on.
Snuck in cider.
Imagine that. Yeah. So
I think they were told. My father says they told him off good.
He loved all the drama, didn't he? About it.
Yeah, he loves that.
Sat there with his chips.
He's had bangers and mash. He's had the lot, but he's not that fussed, is he?
No. He's not happy with the
So
food.
we try and feed him a little bit. Anyway, we're going to go. Everyone, thank you for all the well wishes. Really do appreciate it. Thank you for that.
It really does mean a lot, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely, yeah. So everyone, take care. Enjoy your week. We will be informing you when the workshop is going to take place, the polishing one, but please bear with us for the next couple of weeks. Next Monday is a bank holiday.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
We are not going to be here.
hopefully we're not going to be here.
Yes, okay,
Yeah.
hopefully not going to be here yet next
Yeah.
Monday, but we'll soon let you know in the meantime what's
But
happening.
if we're somewhere interesting, maybe we can just,
Do a quickie, dip them down.
depending if
if
we're,
we are away, yeah.
if we're doing anything interesting, we may well just jump on and say hi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
All right. So, keep an eye out on social media, everybody. Don't forget, follow us on all the usual socials, threads. People are sort of, the initial enthusiasm was there, but
I
it's
can't be bothered with Threads
waning.
anymore, yeah.
It's waning.
Yes, says it all,
Threads,
doesn't
isn't it? Threads. But don't forget TikTok. We're still plugging away at TikTok at the bench, and don't forget the real Mrs. Bears on TikTok for Louise.
Yes, that's me. I need to change that.
You do need
It's
to
a bit
change
sad,
that.
isn't it?
Yeah, and the usual things, YouTube, Instagram, whatever you want to do, just follow us. Be on Facebook as well. Obviously, to keep an eye out on all those, we'll let you know over the next week or so what things are doing, how it's happening. But don't forget, if you want to have a look at Sally Spencer's Working with Gemstones workshop, it's on At the Bench. If you're a paid member, you can watch it for free. If you're not a paid member, join for £20 a month.
Yeah.
You can watch the workshop and all the other workshops.
Got a whole month at least then of everything, haven't
To
you?
watch everything. If you don't want to join At the Bench but you want to buy the workshop, you can do, but please message Louise, because the link that she will give you will enable you to have a £5 voucher off Sally Spencer's book. So instead of £29, it's £24.99.
So if you haven't already got it, yeah.
If you haven't already got it.
Have another one for £5 off.
Why not?
Have a spare.
And have it.
Is that good?
It is good. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your week. We will see you, fingers crossed, sometime soon.
Yeah, probably next week if we're, like I say, doing anything interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone, take care. Thank you for the wishes. I'm going to go down and tell my dad that everyone was wishing him good luck.
Yeah, and that'll
And
make
well
his day.
wishes. It will. So everyone, thank you so much indeed. Everyone, take care. Oh, Louise, say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Everyone, take care. See you. Bye-bye.